up, people? I gotta go get my blankie. Hold on. Move my bench and bring my chair back. We are back in the kitchen. What is going on? Why is it sideways? Was that sideways for you guys? Am I sideways? Now am I sideways? Hello. Hey, Crystal. Am I sideways? This is really odd. I'm waiting for you to respond. Oh, I'm good now, Jean? I thought it was so weird, like my phone, you were sideways. Really? Because see, this is sideways. You know what? This thing. Hey, that's so crazy. Now you are right. Because now my phone is sideways. Oh. Anyways, y'all. I'm using a selfie stick so we can talk. Because I can't, because I'm not on my big computer because it is in my office charging and I don't even know where to look. I think I look over here. So I'm on my phone. So Eddie is working. I've been in my office all day working because we have release week this week. Oh my gosh, here. Let's see if you can see out my window. If you guys look by the pool, by the umbrella, you might see the mama cat. Y'all see her? Hold on. And then there's Eddie. Oh, he's stopping the mama cat. Look at him looking at her. Like he's trying to shoo her off. Look at him. Hysterical. He knows that I'm going live. Look at her. She ain't paying him no attention either. Well, I think, see, she's hunkered down. She hunkered down, right? He can't hear us. Right there. Do you see her? Oh, he's going to spray her. Oh, my gosh. He is so mean. Well, I tell you what. So, you see our bushes that we just had right there? Look. He's so bad. But see our bush. She'll be back here in a second. See those bushes right there? So we just bought those and spent a lot of money a year ago on those. And the stray cats have been peeing in them. And now they're dying. And y'all know we're going to try to sell our house. So Eddie's like, I have decided. He is so proud of himself, Jean. Jeannie, I think I said Jeannie. He is so proud of himself. So anyways, you know, we're going to try to sell our house when we move. So we're going to replace the bushes. But I hate to tell you all this, but I actually think that the mama cat has either had her babies under my porch or she's pregnant again. And I can't catch her. And so, I do know, I told the lady across the way, oh, look, here's Eddie again. Did you get Jack's present? Awesome. My readers, my readers are watching you. So I sent Eddie to the store. Well, actually, Eddie had to go to the store because.
I'm gonna get the
White Claw? No, I said Makers. Whiskey. He likes whiskey. I said whiskey, Coke, and woo. Okay, so now we're talking about liquor, y'all. This has made me go down. So let me finish my story about the cats. So the cat, they have been coming around more, and she's gotten rounder. So I'm like, oh no. But the people across the street know that we're moving, so they feed them every day. And so I think the mama cat is either nesting her babies under there now or has had them. So that's why Eddie didn't scare her off. But she'll be back. So anyways, why was I asking Eddie about liquor? So back to my original thing is that we're in the kitchen because my office where I've been all day, between there and the TV, taking time to write, and I had a friend over today. My bathroom is, my master bathroom is above the bedroom. So Eddie has been redoing it, and he's working in there today, and so he had to go out to get something to put in the new shower. And while he was out, Jack's 21st birthday is tomorrow, and yeah, I got him some liquor. Mom of the year, I don't care, as long as he's not going to drink it in front of me, and on a Sunday. So I got him, and for Eddie, I sent Eddie out to get the liquor. So, because Jack does drink, even though he's not 21 until tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. So I was just saying to Eddie this morning, gosh, I remember this day 21 years ago, just like it was today. I had gained over 50 pounds with Jack. I also had what's called the HELLP syndrome. So if you Google it, it's HELLP. So one day I was working, and my fingers, I noticed, had swelled up really big, and I was out and about driving, and there weren't cell phones then. So I pulled over to the side of the road, I'll never forget, to this gas station, and I called my doctor and I said, listen, my fingers are so swollen. And he said, you need to come see me. And I'm like, okay. And this was probably in February. So I went to see him, and they diagnosed, I had gained like 20 pounds of water weight from the time I had went the week before, which was my normal checkup, until that day. And so they said, oh, you're preeclamptic. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what does that mean? Like, oh, you need to be put on bed rest for a little bit, you drink more water, I'm like, okay. So then that turned into the HELLP syndrome, and my niece was born on March 13th. So there's a picture of me going with my sister to the hospital, and I had my normal nose, and my niece was born at like 1:30 in the morning, and I had taken a picture with her at 1:30 when she came, and my nose in the picture is like this big. So like the water weight just came on again. So my doctor put me on bed rest immediately after that, and for being like full time, except I got to go to the hospital once a week to get strapped on for Jack. They wanted to, I didn't even know I was having a boy. I didn't want to find out. And so they strapped on monitors and he had to move or kick or something so many times within an hour. So once a week for, from the week of March 13th until they had scheduled me for a C-section if I could go that long, which was the 26th. I had to go once a week to get that done, and that was the only time I could leave the house. So I was like, oh, it is growing bigger and bigger. So back to the story. So I said to Eddie, gosh, I just remember this day 21 years ago like it was, today. My parents were coming up. My mom was going to stay a couple of weeks just to help me with the newborn, and I was actually cleaning the floors. I don't know why I didn't just not, but of course I was on bed rest. I'm supposed to not be doing that, but I was, and I was actually cleaning an old table, which you guys will get this, an old table that was an antique dining room table that my neighbor Ruthie, who was a drinker in her 90s, used to toddle over with her cocktail across the street and would clink in the thing. And come to talk to me, and she is the same Ruthie from A Ghostly Undertaking, and she had passed away and had given me her antique kitchen table and chairs and credenza or buffet, whatever you want to call it. And I was cleaning it so my mom wouldn't see it be dusty or whatever, but nobody cared about that, if it was dusty or not. So ended up going to the hospital, planning on having a natural birth all day long. Finally at 10 o'clock at night, they're like, you're going in for an emergency C-section. And I'm like, what? And so Jack, I had an emergency. I mean, we were all kind of shocked. And I mean, we had a waiting room full of people. And from my hairdresser who still does my hair, to my aunt and uncle, my aunt that's in the nursing home, my uncle who's passed, to my sister, her husband, their little boy, my parents, in-laws, my niece and my nephew, friends. We're all waiting because, I mean, I'd been there all day, and little Jack was supposed to be coming, which I didn't know that Jack was a boy again. And so finally at 11:30, they cut me open, and luckily my friends with my, were friends. My husband went to school with my OB, and so I don't know if you know anything about a C-section, but they, you know, cut, and then they take out like most of your organs and kind of lay them up on a sheet. And so I'm looking, which most people don't do that, and I'm like, oh my God, Paul, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's your that's your part of your spleen. There's your bladder, and they're showing me all the stuff, and they're getting to Jack. And I'm like, make sure you put all that back the right way, because I don't want to be peeing out my belly button. That's what I said. And, you know, I'm laying there looking up at the thing. And so, anyway, so when they pulled out Jack, I'm like, what is it? What is it? And I heard the doctor say something, and he said, it's a boy, but I didn't hear that. Because I was listening for Jack to cry, and I said, what did he say? And my husband said, he said, honey, or he said, and he looks just like his dad. And so I said, what did he say? And he said, it's a boy, and he says he's good looking. So I thought that was funny. So anyways, we went, you know, after that I was fine, and I, you know, thought I was coming home. So 2 days later, I came home after the C-section. That night, my blood pressure spiked about 11:30 to 148 over 102. And I was a little dizzy, and I didn't know what was going on. And so, luckily, my mom was home, because I had to be rushed to the emergency room to where the HELLP syndrome was still in my body. And they kept me in the hospital, and Jack got to stay with my mom his first few days of life at my house, and they held down the fort there while I stayed in the hospital because I had the HELLP syndrome. So I could have had seizures and different things like that. So they would bring Jack up during the day just to sit with me in the hospital, but at night they would pad my bed because they didn't want me to have seizures while I was sleeping. And so all of that turned out to be okay. Obviously, I'm here. My body went back to normal, because what that means is my body was rejecting everything about pregnancy. And so we ended up staying in the hospital for a couple of weeks for them to watch me, my blood pressure to come back down. And finally got to go home and be normal, be a normal parent, be a normal family, and life went on. And here we are today, 21 years later. So, you know, he has been a Spitfire from the beginning to the end. He's a Spitfire. And that kid, but he is a mama's boy. I have to say, he is a mama's boy. So we are going to go in the morning, and I have balloons to put up at his apartment on the outside. Well, it's a house, so his house. And then we have ordered his favorite P.F. Chang's. He always gets me a gift card to P.F. Chang's for my birthday because he likes to go to P.F. Chang's, and he knows that if I want him to go out to lunch with me or something, that I'll take him to P.F. Chang's. So he got me a gift card to P.F. Chang's. But anyway, so tomorrow we're doing P.F. Chang's, and we get to pick that up and bring it home. And I got him a cookie cake made because that's his favorite. So everybody's going to have, the boys and Eddie and I, will be here from about 1 to 3 having Jack a little party. So that is a story I probably wasn't planning on saying, but I just get on here and talk, y'all. Y'all just make me want to talk. And there's been some comments. Let's see. Oh, a lot of laughing. I know. Gosh. Yeah, so everybody's talking about happy birthday, Jack. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. She's going to love that. Jane says what stories we could tell. Luann has a story about her. Oh, glad you recovered to spoil your baby. Of course I have. Yeah, happy birthday. Thanks, guys. So, yeah, tomorrow should be fun. Social distancing as much as we can, right? Anyway, so I had told Eddie, back to the liquor, told Eddie, grab Jack. He likes White Claw, he likes Coke and whiskey. So he's my good bourbon boy from Kentucky. So, yeah, hilarious. I know, Mother of the Year. Talking from the mom that had a breathalyzer when they were living here, and a drug testing when they were growing up. So, but they're 21. He's responsible, so I'm not too worried about it. Oh, thanks, Kathy. I have a lot of stories. I know it's kill you. But if you guys have not read A Ghostly Undertaking, Ruthie Sue was my little neighbor, and she was the cutest little thing. And that's when I was a lot younger, and all my girlfriends got married way later than me and had kids way later than me. And so and I had a house. And I lived up here in northern Kentucky near Cincinnati. So all my friends were like, oh, let's go to Tanya's for our bachelorette party because we can go to Cincinnati. And I'm like, okay. And poor little Ruthie, she would come over to every bachelorette party. And she, again, 90 years old. And my college friends loved Ruthie. And they get pictures of her because, I mean, she could outdrink all of us. And actually her son owned a bar up in Cincinnati. And a lot of times we would go to his bar, and she'd go with us, and he'd bring her home. And every Sunday I would watch Murder, She Wrote with her. I'd go over, because she lived alone, and I'd watch Murder, She Wrote. She was so sweet. Those were such some fun times. Anyways, back to why we're here. So if you are new to Bedtime Stories with Tanya, we are reading A Charming Crime, chapter to chapter. And as a matter of fact, if you've not read this series, it is actually my most popular series, believe it or not. You think it would be the Camper series, but I think this is the 8th anniversary of this book, and it's still going strong. Actually, I think it's like 2,000 in the store. And you can pick up the ebook for free anywhere online. So I think that would be a great thing for you to do. And you can read along with us because it's free. It is starting tomorrow is release week for Tints, Trails, and Turmoil, you guys. I cannot with book 11. It's almost beating the June Hill books and how many books. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And there's some exciting, fun book sales next week, so stay tuned for that too on Monday. And if you have pre-ordered your book, guys, I'm so excited about this book. So if you've got it and it comes up on your Kindle, I would love for y'all to share that, and let's get that book, going and get some good stuff on that. So more on that later. So anyways, we're going to read A Charming Crime, and we are on chapter 7. And I think if we don't go too long, we can do chapter 7 and chapter 8 because they don't seem to be very long chapters. So, if y'all are ready, I'm ready. All right. Let's see. I try to hold it so y'all can see, or people coming in can see what's going on. Thank you, guys. Happy release week really quick. Good for Ruthie. She was so much fun, Rose. Oh, amazing. And see, my phone's funny looking here. Thank you, Jeannie, for Happy Release Week. And Jane just finished cooking. Yum. She's right on time. Kathy can't wait. Tammy, thank you. Happy Release Week. It is a great book. I'm so glad. It is already in paperback, Ashley. It's already published. I just haven't. I'm like the worst. Yeah, I haven't even promoted that. But it's in paperback already. So, all right, guys, let's go. Chapter 7. Izzy, Chandra, and Gerald hurried down the road. Izzy led the way as fast as her pointy-toed ankle boots could carry her. That's the council? I asked. Mm-hmm, Oscar nodded. I wonder what they're saying. I peered over Oscar's shoulder, watching the three of them banter back and forth. It didn't look like a pleasant conversation. Izzy wrung her hands. Gerald gritted his teeth, and Chandra had a nervous smile. Gerald had his top hat off and held it close to his chest while his other hand twirled the other end of his mustache. Chandra tapped her blue nails together. You should have seen this morning, Izzy grumbled. She held the door to the police station. Gerald and Chandra kept their heads down as they passed her. She shut the door and locked it. Anne said that the crystal ball went crazy when June looked at it. I don't read the crystal ball. I read palms. Remember? Chandra's eyes blinked rapidly. The three of them huddled without paying a bit of attention to us. Palm reading? I had come to grips that Madame Torres globe, but palm reading? I reached in my black bag for the phone, trying to remember if I had stored Axel Primrose's number. Surely the new homeowners weren't moved in yet. I could probably tell him that I wanted to move back to Locust Grove. I'm trying to get it to where I get the book. And sorry guys, my phone's messed up. Back to Locust Grove, or better yet, move to the country like Oscar had originally suggested. No, Izzy's head popped up out of the huddle. Her blonde locks swung in Chandra's direction, catching Chandra's eye. Ouch! Chandra went down, holding her hand to her face. You have got to let me cut that stuff off. Izzy shooed Chandra and continued to focus on me. No, you will stay here in Whispering Falls. We have an agreement. Besides, Axelrod is one of us. What? Oscar looked between the two of him. June, are you planning on leaving? I held my hands behind my back as I got as far away from Izzy as I could. Truth be told, I was freaking out. How did Izzy know what I was thinking? Everyone stopped when someone tapped on the door. Thank God, Mac is here. We have another Mac, but it's not the same Mac. Izzy flung the door open. Mr. McGirdle, Mac McGirdle, please get in here. We have an issue. What is he doing here? I asked about Mac. Wasn't it enough that I had put up with his nosy man in Locust Grove? Mr. McGirdle? Oscar stood very still, his eyes narrowed. What is going on here? I thought I was the law. You are hired by the village council. Izzy circled her long, thin finger between Chandra, Mac, and Gerald. We are the council. I need a ding-dong, was the last thing I remember saying before the lights went out. June dear. I felt the faint wind on my face that I wasn't familiar with, but the rough tongue on my nose, I knew. Without even trying to open my eyes, I reached out to pat Mr. Prince Charming. For a moment, I thought I was in my bed at Locust Grove House until my senses rushed back to me and I realized the smell wasn't different homeopathic ingredients, but the smell of sugary things. I think she's with us, someone patted my hand. Meow, meow. Mr. Prince Charming seemed to beg me to open my eyes. Chandra stood over me, fanning me with her long scarf, her turban sitting cockeyed on her head. Mr. McGirdle sat next to me and patted my hand. Mr. McGirdle, what are you doing here? I tried to figure out where I was. The round, small white tablecloths in the room were decorated. Each had 3 tiered cupcake stands and a tea set, as if there was going to be a party. Where am I? I told Darla I would watch over you, Mr. McGirdle smiled. He took his cup from Gerald. Drink this. Chandra put her hand on my back and helped lift me to a sitting position. Once sitting, I could see that we were in Gerald's shop. He steeped a few more cups of tea and Izzy stood over him. How did I get here? I was more puzzled than nervous, like I was before. No one wanted to answer me. Oscar was nowhere to be found, which was odd. He'd never left me in Locust Grove this happened. Where's Oscar? Drink, dear. Izzy gestured for Mac to give me the cup. First swirl 3 times. Mr. McGirdle got up and let Gerald sit down. Mr. Prince Charming continued to make circle 8s around my ankles. As silly as it sounded, it was actually comforting for Mr. McGirdle to be there if Oscar wasn't. Hopefully, Oscar was on the hunt for the real killer. Pew, pew. I spit some of the tea back in the cup. The loose leaves were stuck to the side of the tiny cup. You can flip the cup over on the saucer. Gerald held a small plate in his hand. Feeling a little leery, I did what I was told. The quicker I did what they asked, the quicker I could get out of here. Now tap the cup 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. The sound of my fingernails hitting the cup echoed throughout the shop. Gerald took the cup off the saucer and handed it to Chandra, who nervously looked at it. He twirled the plate and intently stared at it. Gerald, what do you see? Izzy stood over Gerald, casting a shadow over me. It was too dark to make out Izzy's eyes. What is going on? I asked, looking into the cup that Gerald held. The cup I just drank out of. What is happening? Give me a minute. Gerald smacked Izzy's hand away. I see a wavy line in conjunction with an E. Oh, that's good. Chandra chuckled, bringing her hands to her mouth. I quickly figured out that when Chandra was nervous, she giggled. And oh, shh. Izzy's warning was quick and fast. Keep going. There is an hourglass without a number. There is a lake with hands. Everyone but me gasped. I have nightmares where someone is being strangled by hands, but there's no face and I can't see who is in the dream. I leaned over and looked at the plate. There wasn't anything on it but damp tea leaves. You need to strain your tea better. Izzy pulled back, exposing the light. Fear, stark and vivid, glittered in her eye. He reads tea leaves, dear. Don't worry, I have a call out to Petunia Shrubwood. Chandra put Izzy and Gerald at ease, but didn't make me feel any better. They ignored me like I wasn't even there. Does anyone have a ding-dong? If I didn't get a little comfort for somewhere, I was really going to kill someone. I could see my purse sitting on a different table. Get my purse, there's one in there. Mr. McGirdle scurried to get it and brought it back. Who is Petunia Shrubwood? I didn't even bother savoring my chocolate treat. I just stuffed it in. I needed instant gratification. There were so many questions floating around in my head that I couldn't help but spit them out. Petunia will be able to tell us if Anne is back. Chandra giggled. Shh. Izzy stood took Chandra aside and whispered something I couldn't understand. Chandra glanced back at me and smiled. I'm getting out of here, I thought, and stood up. Where are you going? Gerald looked up from the cup and then at Izzy. Where is she going? I'm going home. I grabbed my purse, and by home I mean Locust Grove. There was no way I was going to stay another minute in this crazy town. These people were nuts. Before I could make it to the door, a woman walked in. Her brown hair was pulled back in a messy bun that overflowed. There were flowers stuck in the mess of locks. I came as fast as I could. She had a leash dangling from her wrist, but no dog on the other end. I checked the kennels. I looked around the streets, the lake, but nothing, not a sign of a new animal. Mr. Prince Charming sniffed the leash and batted at it. He didn't care that I was upset. Traitor. That is not what I want to hear. Izzy took Petunia into her arms. Petunia let out a little weep, the leash dangling alongside her. Petunia runs Glory Bee Pet Store, along with the SPCA in the grooming business. I didn't even know that there was a pet store around here. That means Anne was a bad soul. Chandra snorted a little more sorrowful sigh. Bad soul. Bad soul? I looked towards Izzy. She seemed to be the glue that held Whispering Falls together. Didn't you see her dead body? Were these people delusional? Anne was not coming back to life. I knew it. Oscar knew it. Where the hell is Oscar? If she had a good soul, I bet she'd been a pig. Chandra drew back and covered her mouth like she had just let the cat out of the bag. She might have looked like a little pig, but she wasn't cute and sweet like one. Mr. McGirdle joined in on the conversation. That's enough, Izzy tried to stop them from saying any more. She's not only threatened to sue me, but she called me in front of council, and I'm on the council, Chandra reminded everyone in the room. I took note because it was the first time I had heard it. The nerve of her thinking that the front step of our shop caused her to slip and hurt her back. That's right, she sure did, Petunia agreed. I remember the two of you fighting about that right in front of your shop and her holding on her back like she had hurt it. All of a sudden, it was dead silence. But I never wanted her dead, Chandra nervously chuckled. Just for a moment, I looked around the room. Gerald was whispering in Petunia's ear while she tried to cover her smile with her hand. Chandra traced the lines of her hand with a long blue fingernail, and Mr. Prince Charming kept doing figure eights around my ankles, and Oscar was still nowhere to be found. What is going on? I asked. The madness had to stop. I brushed my bangs to the side to make sure I had good vision of everyone. Honey, if Anne was a good soul, she'd had come back as an animal. Petunia stared at me with a baffled look on her face. That's my spiritual guidance. I'm an animal spiritualist. What is that? I was beginning to see that Whispering Falls was all about palm reader, crystal ball, tea leaf reader, and now a spiritual animalist? An animal spiritualist? What had I gotten myself into? She shrugged like she knew like I knew what she was talking about, and I wasn't going to stand around any longer. Izzy planted herself in front of the door alongside Mr. McGirdle. June, can you please sit down? Mr. McGirdle pulled a chair out at the closest tea table. I told Darla I would look after you. You said that over and over, Mr. McGirdle, and look where that's gotten me. I crossed my arms. I'm going to jail for a murder I didn't commit, and you let me move to this crazy town. Honey, we aren't crazy, Petunia shook her head back and forth, a few leaves falling out of the mess. We are a spiritual village, as in psychics, and apparently you are too. Everything around me spun around in my head, and the room darkened like a dull gray. I gripped the chair to keep myself steady. Petunia's words twisted in my head. Psychic, village, everything went black. The last chapter. Should we continue on to chapter 8? It's like 10 pages. Or should we stop? What do y'all think? We can stop. It's like 7:30. It's been a half hour. I don't want you guys to take too long. We'll stop. We'll do chapter 8 tomorrow night. And maybe chapter 9. It's kind of long. Well, not real long, but long enough that we've been here. Read more. Continue. Y'all, who's saying that? Oh, okay. We can read more. We'll read to chapter 9. Okay, we'll read more and y'all talk me into it. then we'll chit chat. Does she do this a lot? The giggle rang in my ear. I know how have to be fully conscious to know Chandra was standing next to me and that I had passed out again. I was sort of hoping all of this had been a nightmare and I was going to wake up in my bedroom in Locust Grove. After all, they had sprung the whole spiritual village thing on me without a warning. 1 minute I was fine by the seat of my pants mixing ingredients to sell at the flea market, and the next I was #1 murder suspect and a psychic rolled up in one June hill. The rough tongue licking my nose reinforced that I was, in fact, in Whispering Falls and it wasn't a dream. I've known her all my life and I've never seen her do this. Oscar's much welcome voice rang in my ears. It was not a nightmare. June, can you open your eyes? There wasn't a sweet smell to the room. It was more sour, vitamin-like. Slowly, I opened my eyes. Oscar sat on one side and Chandra on the other. Hey, sleepyhead, Chandra patted my hand. Her turban reminded me that she was a palm reader. I tried to keep my thoughts free of any negative thoughts or mean-spirited words. Izzy had made it clear that she could read some of my thoughts. Welcome home, Oscar smiled, as if nothing had happened. Are you kidding me? I whispered. Firstly, someone is framing me for murder, and secondly, I found out that this is a psychic town. Third, I held up 3 fingers, Mr. McGirdle is involved and I'm a psychic. What's next? You? We need to talk. Izzy came out of a different room with another cup of whatever concoction they had given me at Gathering Grove. No, thank you. I pushed the cup aside. I like my tea with leaves and tons of sugar. All the lights in the room came into focus. The little family room had all the comforts of home. The natural wood wall accents with vibrant orange fabric on the chairs and couches. I sat up, taking in my new home. I wanted to go back to my little Cape Cod in Locust Grove. I shook my head when the last few hours of memories crept back into my head. Mr. Primrose is a psychic. I recalled how strange it was that he would just show up at my house with an offer I couldn't refuse. Why did you want me to live here so badly? Was Darla psychic? Psychic or not, I didn't want to be here anymore. Selling remedies at the flea market was looking pretty good about right now. Fear knotted in my stomach. How could Darla, my mom, be psychic and me not know about it? We were poor. We were at a flea market booth every day trying to make ends meet. No, she was not, but your dad was. Izzy's words were lagging as she clearly picked them. He was a spiritualist and your mother was not. But she had a wonderful spirit that was very welcoming to the village, and we loved her store. Oscar didn't seem to be taken aback as I was. Did you know this? I asked him. Not until today. He looked at Izzy for approval. She nodded for him to continue. He held up a manual of sorts, and it was thick. Izzy felt it was important for me to understand how the spiritual village laws work. Izzy and Chandra set a cup of tea and plate of cookies in front of me as if I were a child. It was all crazy to me, and something I couldn't even begin to understand. Your father was our police officer. By Whispering Falls law, there could only be one shop per spiritualist family, and that includes if you were dating, living, or married to a spiritualist. One shop. Izzy took the packet from Oscar and flipped it open. She pointed to number 3 under the bylaws page. Your mother opened a little shop and sought some outside spiritual guidance since she wasn't a psychic. She made the perfect cures. Was she talking about my Darla? Darla couldn't find half the ingredients her recipe called for, and then she substituted, and most of her remedies didn't work. Outside guidance, I questioned. Someone who doesn't live in the village. She handed the packet back to Oscar. You don't need to worry about that. Anyways, when your father passed, Izzy looked out the window like she was playing it in her mind like a movie. Darla, your mother, tried to keep up the shop, but it was hard with a toddler. You were so cute. Chandra adjusted her turban. So cute. When you got older, she realized that you didn't have any spiritual gifts and wanted you to have a normal life. That is when she decided to open the booth in the flea market. Izzy ignored Chandra and watched me intently. I tried not to show any unusual facial features or freak out, but who was I fooling? These were psychics. Chandra took my hand and followed the crease of my palm. She closed her eyes and inhaled deeply. Joy bubbled in her laugh and shone on her face. We thought you didn't have any spiritual gifts, but your palm says differently. I pulled my hand away and tucked it under me. You have the gift of homeopathic remedies like your father. The pleasure was apparent in Izzy's smile. Have you noticed how your remedies really work much better than Darla's? She tried to imitate Otto's, but it was fruitless. Otto? I hadn't heard my dad's name in years. Darla never talked about him, and now I know why. When Otto died, Darla really wanted to make your life whole, complete. There was a relief in her eyes. She sat down and gently crossed her leg. She left the village and to continue to keep the shop open because we all used and relied on homeopathic remedies. Not that they ever worked, tee-hee. Sandra paced nervously around the room. Izzy shot her a look and that would make Mr. Prince Charming shudder. Chandra disappeared into another room. Mac told us about you making all these new concoctions and how the flea marketing booth was flourishing. She nodded to Mr. McGurgle. That is when I suspected that you might be a spiritualist. Spiritualist? That didn't make sense. Just because I had combined some ingredients makes me a spiritualist? My eyes narrowed with speculation. As you can see, every shop owner is a spiritualist where their shop name camouflages their gifts since we're open to the public, she said. Well, what about you? I questioned Mr. McGurgle. For a spiritualist, he could use some lessons in manners. I moved to Locust Grove when Darla took you there. He looked to Chandra, who did a little shimmy shake into the room. I was watching you over the past 2 years. Orders from the village council. Nasty, Chandra chuckled. What's with her? I ran my hands through my hair to make a ponytail using the rubber rounder on my wrist. I was going to deal with Mr. McGurgle later. Locust Grove is nasty. All those wandering spirits crawling around, rubbing their legs together. Chandra did an extra little shake with a dramatic finish. Eek! Makes me itch thinking about them. Spiritualists that aren't the cleanest of souls, or people for that matter, generally come back as creepier insects. Izzy dusted her hands together. Like bees? Bees scared the living daylights out of me. Once Mr. Prince Charming batted a bee and the bee turned around and stung me. I told Mr. Prince Charming to never touch a bee again, or if he did, I hope it stung him. Absolutely not. Petunia drew back and drew her hands up to her hips. Bees are loyal, loving creatures. She retreated to the back of the room with her head down, nervously fiddling with the flowers in her hair. I guess I had to be careful about what I said about animals since she was the one who could talk to them. We are going to have to explore all of this later. What matters now is that you get situated and figure out how Anne got your charm bracelet. Izzy's A-line skirt and hair cascaded down in unison as she stood up. So you know that I didn't kill her since you're psychic and all. I needed them to confirm that they believed me. I rubbed the new charm bracelet and glanced over at Mr. Prince Charming. No wonder he was obsessed with cicadas. Was everything he had done, even picking out the new charm, a coincidence? Or was he back as someone else? Nah. He was lying back with his hinge legs straight up in the air while he licked himself. No self-respecting spiritualist would come back and do that, would they? Nah. Izzy snapped her finger and Oscar handed her the packet again. She flipped it open and pointed to number 2 in the bylaws. Spiritualists can't read other spiritualists, she handed back to Oscar. Which reminds me, Oscar stood over me with the ding-dong outstretched to take. I'm going to have to separate friendship from professionalism. Although I don't think you did it, you are the only suspect at this time. I jumped to my feet and snatched the ding-dong. You can't possibly think that I killed Anne. I only knew her for under an hour, and although she was mean, I never killed anyone. Mr. Prince Charming ran over and did his regular figure eights around my ankles. He always knew when I was upset. I always heard that animals have a great instinct when it comes to their owner's emotional ups and downs. I'm not accusing you. Besides, village law states that no one is to be arrested for a crime. They just can't move out of the village until the crime is solved, including murder. This time, Oscar opened the packet and pointed to number 5. You are, my mouth dropped, thinking that Oscar could be a spiritualist. A spiritualist? You need to rest. Izzy pushed Oscar out the door before he could answer my question. And you need to get settled at the Whispering Falls. You will find all the supplies you need to get started in the shop. Here is the key. She put the old skeleton key on the kitchen counter. Everyone left but Mr. McGirdle, who assured me he would answer any questions I might have dealing with my new life. I looked around my new house trying to forget about the murder and my bracelet in Anne's grass, but it wasn't working. Even Mr. Prince Charming paced along the walls. How did Anne get my bracelet? Was my nightmare about her? If it was, would these nightmares stop? Why did Darla keep this secret from me? Who was I? There were so many questions I needed answered, and sitting in this house was not the way I was going to get them. Chapter 9. All right, you guys, any questions? I probably can scroll back to see anything. Oh, okay, let's see. Hey, Cindy. Cheryl was listening while cleaning her kitchen. Becky came in. Becky, no one's ever late. You're always welcome. Hi, Jamie. Thanks, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. That was only about 45 minutes. Not too bad, but really only like a half hour of reading because I'm talking. Oh, you're welcome, Ashley. Thank you, Tammy. So fun. Ashley, I think I saw where you said you didn't see the pre-order for the book. Okay, so I just put it up. The thing is that I am just like not a good business person. I need to go into Amazon or contact Amazon and tell them that the book and the ebook need to be linked. So I'll do that tonight too. And I'll put up the pre-order. I still didn't do those pre-order links, y'all. I just get off here and start scrolling. I'll do that tonight, I promise. Scouts Honor, crisscross applesauce. So thanks, Mary, for joining. I hope you guys join. Thanks, Kim. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we're going to read chapter 9. Look, it looks like we're almost halfway through, but we're not. So I hope you guys had fun. We are on page 111 of the book. Jean says that I always pick up new stuff to say. Me too, Jean. I love it. I love it. It gives me ideas for the next book, which I'm doing, which I'm writing now. And so that's awful exciting. I've got 3 or 4 books going. Lord help me. All right, you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow night at 7 Eastern Standard Time. And remember, I love you guys. Y'all keep me going. And make this a community. Make our community. Post in here. Ask people how they're doing. If you see something on a thread that somebody's not having a great day, try to remember that. And then next week, tag them in a post just to see how they're doing. We all need each other. We've been together for the better part of 8 or 9 years. And this has been great. So we all love each other. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And remember, wash your filthy hands.